What's up? Run 50 States My Way. It's Ashley and Ryan, and we're in Little Rock. For those of you who don't know, William Clinton, our 42nd president of the United States, was the governor of Little Rock for a number of years. He's also from Arkansas. So when in Little Rock, one of the things that there is to do, which we're now going to do, is visit the Bill Clinton Library and Museum. So this is an actual presidential library, which is super exciting, and we're gonna go check it out. So with that, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and comment down below if you've ever been to the William Clinton Presidential Library here in Little Rock. One of the things that's really cool that I'm starting to notice about Little Rock is it's a city that really celebrates artwork. And coming into the Bill Clinton Presidential Library and Museum, there are all of these really cool little globes. This one commemorates commercial recycling. Yeah, so there's all of these cool little globes. And then over here we have one of the bridges. There's lots of bridges here in Little Rock. We're gonna check some of them out. And there's also a restaurant here called 42, because again, 42nd President of the United States. A couple things to note about visiting the Clinton Library and Museum is that you do have to bring proof of vaccination status. Happily, knowing that we were coming on this trip, I put both of our vaccine cards in my purse, just in case we went into any building and they asked for it. So we did have to show proof of vaccination. There are no selfie sticks allowed and no food or outside drinks allowed inside. So things to think about. So I did have to take my camera and I'm hand holding it instead of holding it on the stick so that I'm in compliance. And we are allowed to take pictures, but not in one area. And that's in the replica of the Oval Office that was in use while President Clinton was the president. So we are not allowed to film in there. Secret Service limo.
Service. 3 presidents were assassinated in 4 decades.
This is the presidential limousine. In 1993, only 3 of these vehicles were built by General Motors.
Let me tell you what's at stake in this thing. Every time somebody comes along that's got some ideas, a Democrat comes along, the Republicans come up here and they ambush. If they succeed this time, it's going to be every time. You are never going to get a presidential candidate. You just keep one-on-one.
So this is a replica of the cabinet room, and it is an oval table, just like the Knights of the Round Table, and the president's chair is the one in the center there that you can point out because it's taller by about 2 inches than the other chairs, and the flag is behind his right shoulder.
The United States is prepared to provide support for this effort.
In each alcove, there are components of each, of all of the many things that President Clinton did, from his fight for education, the Family Medical Leave Act, better health care, to global relations, Bosnia and Kosovo, NAFTA and the trade agreements. And then there's artifacts and videos playing in each of these little alcoves. It's really interesting. And then of course the bookends are all of the documents for the Presidential Library. This elephant here is a gift from Nelson Mandela.
And to highlight shared aspirations for the future.
All of these items in here are state gifts, gifts given by foreign dignitaries. This is just stunning. It's all jade. And of course, Bill Clinton was a big saxophone player, and it looks like these are his saxophones. So what are all the blue boxes? The museum displays 4,536 blue boxes containing presidential records from the White House Office of Agency Liaison. Well run 50 States My Way. What better way than to finish the day after going to the William Clinton Presidential Library than to come and see the state capitol here in Little Rock, where he, of course, was the governor for a number of years. Now, don't be confused. We are not in Washington, D.C., but what's really interesting about this state capitol, there's Ryan, is that this state capitol building is modeled after our U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C. From what I understand, this Capitol building is such a close replica that oftentimes when an exterior shot is needed for a movie that's supposed to be in Washington, D.C., they actually come and film here in Little Rock because of how close it resembles it. Absolutely beautiful architecture. They do tours and whatnot, but we will not be going inside. And it looks like they're doing some wedding pictures up there, so we don't want to disturb them. But from what I understand, the doors are Tiffany doors. So we're going to explore the grounds and see a little bit of what the Capitol building has to offer. Little Rock is, of course, famous for Central High School, where the Little Rock Nine were the first students to desegregate education after the groundbreaking Brown versus the Board of Education ruling passed through the Supreme Court. What's amazing about this statue is its location. When we think about change, especially because of where they're looking, it's right toward where that change happens, and that's to the building of government. The statue is called Testament, Civil Rights Memorial Sculpture of the Little Rock Nine. Facing law and social custom that define them as second-tier citizens, the Little Rock Nine, taking their cue from the ever-expanding struggle for civil rights, opted to define themselves quite differently. With the help of the stalwart parents, other family members, and those in the community who shared their vision, this group of young people came to understand the reality of their time, but chose to believe in the reality yet to come. It was in part their focus that allowed them to suffer the indignities heaped upon them by those who firmly believed in the laws of inequality. With the support of countless others around the globe, and especially the guidance of L.C. and Daisy Bates, the Little Rock Nine walked through the doors of Central High School. Their act of courage opened doors symbolically all over segregated America. Another interesting piece of sculpture or artwork, In God We Trust. And this is the Arkansas Revolution Bicentennial Memorial, State Capitol grounds. It is a replica of the Liberty Bell. With the Great Seal of Arkansas. So this statue is in recognition of the Confederate women of Arkansas, 1861 to 1865, whose pious ministrations to our wounded soldiers soothed the last hours of those who died for the object of their tenderest love, whose domestic labors contributed much to the supply and the wants of our defenders. Also on the Capitol grounds is this absolutely beautiful memorial for the Arkansas Vietnam veterans and armed services. A mini version of their Vietnam Wall on the grounds of the Capitol. Again, I love the symbolism of how they're positioning the artwork and the sculptures. If you see, the soldier is facing the Capitol. Again, if I think about symbolism, you know, facing the government, facing the people for whom they serve. That's a wrap for us today. Run 50 States My Way. It's Ashley and Ryan. We've had an absolutely magical first day here in Little Rock, exploring and learning a little bit more about history, especially as it relates to government. We still have Central High School to visit. We still have the Inland Maritime Museum, exploring down in the River Market District, and of course the marathon and 10K. So stay tuned for more. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and comment down below if you've done any of the things that we did here in Little Rock today. This is Ashley signing off, saying subscribe and wait for more.